Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm APFA National President Julie Hedrick, and before we get started today, we're going to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves that will be speaking today and answering your questions for you. Kathy, would you like to start?
Hi, I'm Kathy Sharp. I'm the APFA National Health Chair.
Hi, I'm Delia Petson. I'm the IMD Chair.
Hi, I'm Larry Salas, APFA National Vice President.
Hi, I'm Josh Black, APFA National Secretary.
Hi, I'm Ankit Patel, Assistant to the National Treasurer, Eric Harris.
Hi, I'm Paul Hertzler Jr., National Communications Chair.
Hi, I'm Brian Walsh, I'm the APFA Contract Chair.
I'm Kim Peck, the APFA Retirement Specialist.
Okay, and on video today and not with Mark Littleton, you want to say hi?
Yeah, sure. Hi. I'm sorry you cut out. I wasn't sure where you were. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Littleton. I currently serve as the Assistant to the President, Julie Hedrick of APFA.
And Patrick?
Hi, Executive Committee, DFW based, and I am the Retirement Specialist Emeritus.
And Dre?
Hey, Dre Howard, APFA Chicago-based Vice President.
And Susan?
Susan Roble, Chicago-based President. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And Julie, thanks for getting us a great format to speak to the flight attendants.
Thank you. And I know Nina Martin is flying today, so she won't be able to be on the call. But this is a new format. We are using Teams Event. We started this last week, and we've done 12 bases this week, town halls, and we're really happy so far with this format. So we will be doing another town hall very soon for St. Louis to help you with all of your questions regarding the base closure, moving expenses, transfers, satellite questions. So I saw a few of those questions came in today, and if we have time, we'll get to those questions. But primarily today, we're going to be working on the VAP questions and the EVLOA questions. We know that this is a really difficult decision for many. It's a very personal decision, and what we really want to do is make sure that you have all the answers to your questions, so that when you do make the decision whether or not to take it, you feel like you've been educated enough to make that decision. There have been quite a few questions over the last week from flight attendants who've been asking about our flying. And I realize in St. Louis your flying is all domestic, but Chicago does have a lot of international flying, or it did. And we just had a meeting this week with the company, and they were telling us that the international bookings right now are down quite a bit. It doesn't look like a very good forecast right now, and that right now projected for 2021, the summer of 2021, is about 25% down at least from 2019. We aren't expecting our international flying to really be fully back until 2022, possibly 2023. Another question we've been getting quite a bit is about reserve seniority. Everybody would like to know, what's the reserve seniority going to be at the bases once all of this takes place? And the factors that can help us figure that seniority out are the VOPs, what seniority the flight attendants are at that take the VOP, and how many from your base will be taking it, as well as the EVLOAs. And if unfortunately we have to furlough, then that will also factor into it. We do know that if we have to furlough, most likely our reserve seniority is definitely going to increase, because those will be our flight attendants who are at straight seniority or at one on, one off. So with that being said, we'll get started here on our questions. One of the things, in case you haven't read it yet, the deadline for the VOP and the EVLOA is now August 5th at 23:59 Central Time. So, or 11:59 Central Time, however you want to look at it. But it is, it now has been delayed to August 5th. Okay, let's get started. And right off the bat, we've got quite a few bankruptcy questions, and they kind of really vary on what's being asked about them. So let's just start with this one, and we'll see how many. I know Patrick will give us a bit more information than probably about this one question, but I'll start out with this one question on it. If I elect to take the lump sum and receive my debit card in October 2020, will the dollar amount on the debit card be for $150,000, and therefore the company cannot take that away from me if we go into bankruptcy? Or can they freeze the debit card once in bankruptcy? Thank you. Patrick?
Okay, good question. To start with, you're not going to get a debit card preloaded with $150,000 on it. What the RHRA is a promise from American Airlines to pay you when you submit authorized medical expenses for reimbursement. So it's just a promise to pay. It's not like an FSA or a pension or a 401k where there is a separate pile of money somewhere. It's just a promise to pay out of the assets of the company, which means it is subject to bankruptcy claims. And that's one of the challenges, is that we want to make sure that we understand what the risks are in bankruptcy and how much, what's the possibility that we could lose, what would we keep, and we're going to need those fixed and firm answers before we can make decisions. And the sad news is there's no way to tell at this point. That what we can tell you is the outcome for employees in bankruptcy tends to vary from awful to really horrible awful. It's just, it's hard to say where it's going to come out. And let me give an example. Everyone on this call has been through at least one airline bankruptcy, and nobody on this call ended up not getting all of the pay they had earned up to the date of the bankruptcy. That's not always true. With Braniff and with Eastern and with Pan Am, the employees didn't even get their last paychecks. So the outcome from bankruptcy is incredibly variable depending on what kind of bankruptcy the company declares. And then, assuming that it's a reorganization like it was for all the last ones we've been through, there's really no way at this point to predict what the company is going to ask the judge to do. So for instance, the company could ask the judge to allow them to no longer have to pay the RHRA claims, or they could not ask that. And if they ask that, nobody knows what she's going to do in terms of approving it or not approving it. So they could ask whether or not they could stop paying the lump sums and just make people get their money out of the pot of money for unsecured creditors at the end of the bankruptcy, or they could not. And if they do that because it's a wage claim, whether or not she would approve that or not. And because of that, you can't say, well, your RHRA money's at risk, because it might be or it might not be, depending on how it goes. We get a lot of questions about, well, if for some reason I lose something from the VOP, can I return to work in the bankruptcy as compensation? Probably not. I've never seen that in a bankruptcy. Well, the other thing is, would I be more protected in a bankruptcy if I went with like option A or option B, or if I just stayed on active? And the good news is that all of the positions in VOP and active are all the same level of claim. And actually, it's a pretty high level, pretty high class of claim. In bankruptcy, all of the unsecured claims are sorted into classes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And wages are a class 4 and benefits are a class 5 claim, which are really high level claims in a bankruptcy. How high? Taxes. You know, Uncle Sam always gets his piece. Taxes are 6. So we actually come even before taxes get paid out. People ask, could APFA make an agreement with the company that in the event of a bankruptcy, they'd immediately fund that RHRA into some, bank somewhere, or load it onto that card? Absolutely, we could if we could get the company to agree. But but I can guarantee you the very first thing they'd ask the judge to do is for the right to cancel that agreement with APFA so that those monies wouldn't disappear out of the account. One of the questions was, well, if I don't take the VAP, if I go on the EVLOA, am I somehow more protected? Nope. You're an active employee and your status is on EVLOA or active is not going to change. Your class 4 and class 5 claims are going to be the same as everyone who is on the line. So I wish I could give you more clear answers on what's going to happen with a bankruptcy, but until it happens and until things are asked for, there's just no way to predict. You can guess, but what I can recommend is that when you think about how you're going to be funding your retirement, that you say, okay, I'm going to have this money in this month and this money in this month. Look and say, okay, I've got these 5 or 6 different sources of funds coming in. What would happen if, like, the RHRA did go away? Does that completely ruin my retirement? Does it just mean I'm going to have to take less trips or downsize? If having that money at risk would completely destroy the retirement, you're going to have a very serious talk with your financial planner, because there is risk in all of those options. There's risk in staying as an active employee. Reference the Eastern and the Braniff people. So that's the answers that we have on bankruptcy. If I missed something, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Patrick, I see this question and I'm not sure you really covered it, but this looks like this is a flight attendant who is asking about if she takes the lump sum and she starts her pension and AA goes bankrupt and the PBGC takes over. So it looks like she's probably not on the PBGC currently, but an LAA pension, and is wondering if the PBGC will take over. Does our pension stay the same because we're already taking it?
That's a great question. What happens if the LAA pensions join their brothers and sisters over at the PBGC? Your pension money at the PBGC is no more or less protected whether you're in benefit or out of benefit, except there are a couple of reasons the PBGC can reduce your pension. Number one, if you're getting more than $4,600 a month in your pension, they can reduce it because that's the cap. I haven't met a flight attendant getting $4,600 a month yet. So if that's you, please call me and let us introduce yourself. Now, if you're a pilot, that's another issue. The second is if you are in benefit and you are not yet 60, that the PBGC has rules about people in early benefit. So that could impact your pension value at all. And then the third one that applies to all of us is if the pension fund is grossly underfunded, then they can reduce all of the pensions by a couple of percentage points, 2, 3, whatever it takes to get it to be back to a reasonable and rational funding formula. And right now our pension's at 82% funded, 81.89 or something, and therefore it's not grossly underfunded.
Perfect. Okay, and one more, Patrick. This one is, I understand that RHRA and lump sum are up for play in bankruptcy, but is the 30 months of active pay rates for health insurance secure?
That's a great question. It's a benefit, and so it's going to be a class 5 claim. And so the company would have to ask to be let out of those benefits. And that's either going to be an 1113 or 1114 negotiations on it. So yeah, nothing is 100% sure, but it's the same class of claim as your health insurance you have as an active.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Kim, I think this one's about Medicare. Let's see. I already have Medicare A and B now. With VOP A, when would I start looking for a supplement before I cancel Cobra Medical?
Okay, if you're taking VEOPA, which is the 12 months on payroll, you wouldn't have to worry about anything during the first 12 months, unless it's your personal preference to go on Medicare during that time. So the soonest you would have to go on Medicare would be October 1st of 2021. If you chose to go on Medicare earlier, you could do that, but it would be up to you. So you wouldn't have to ever cancel COBRA Medical, because your first 12 months with VEOPA are not actually COBRA, they're active employee benefits. After you retire on October 1st of 21, that's when the COBRA kicks in, which is active rate COBRA, which means you would be paying the same rate as the active employees. But of course, if you're Medicare eligible, you kind of need to go on Medicare at that point. So what I would suggest doing is probably 60 days prior to October 1st of 2021, I would go ahead and start setting up Medicare and get that in place for October 1st of 2021, so you have a smooth transition. So you wouldn't really have to cancel the COBRA. When they offer you COBRA for medical, dental, and vision, you could just not elect the medical and choose to keep the dental and vision at that point.
Right. Thank you. Okay, and it looks like this is a 3 or 4 part question. So the second one is, are you trying to get more D3s for retirees? Only 4 does not cover my grandkids. Well, I can tell you that the retiree travel is company-wide. So it is not just for the flight attendants, and it's not actually part of our contract. So that would be something that company-wide, everyone would have to be working on to try and increase the D3s, since it is a company-wide program. Can we keep long-term disability during the 12 months active, and we will get money if disabled, even if not working?
The answer to that is yes, if you choose to keep your coverage active and you file a claim during the 12 months while your coverage is still active, as long as you qualify, per the terms of the long-term disability, then you could get paid long-term disability benefits.
Okay, and then the last part, I think, there's 2 more. Okay, can we apply for unemployment in Illinois with the 38 hours pay, since that is called severance by AA?
I'm going to let Brian take that one.
Brian.
Sure. So just keep in mind when you're filing for unemployment, any pay that you're paid out by American will be weighed against any unemployment claims. Then
And they did say they're not going to contest any unemployment, so they're going to just give factual information. So, and then it says here, will we get in 32 weeks with the automatic extension and no more? Well, that's unemployment question.
So as of right now, unless there is action in Congress, there won't be an extension to the current CARES Act, but for the 32 weeks that is currently as is for right now.
Right now. And since you brought up the CARES Act, I'll bring this up. We are definitely working hard to get the payroll support program extended until March 31st, so we don't have any furloughs. If you have not reached out, or even if you have, please reach out to your senators and call them, email them, let them know that it's so important for this payroll support program to be extended so that we do not have any flight attendants here who lose their jobs to furlough. So we would all appreciate that. I know everybody's been reaching out. They're getting a lot of calls, and that's what's really going to help make this happen. Right. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, I just turned 62. I've been out 4 years on an IOD. Would like to take, I'm guessing, the VOP, but want to make sure it doesn't affect settling with the company, which just started. Belia, we got that one? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Taking the VOP will not affect the settlement portion of your claim with Sedgwick, so no, it will not affect it.
Okay.
But if they've been out 4 years on an IOD, they might not be eligible for the VOP, so they need to check and find out whether they're eligible.
They'd have to be on a paid status.
They would have to be on payroll on July 15th of this year.
Right.
Fortunately, if they weren't, then the company says they're not eligible.
Right. We've been working on that, but we haven't been successful at that yet. Okay. This is another long one, so Kim, I'll take it one question at a time with you, okay? When do we have to turn in our tablets, keys, etc. if on VAP A?
Okay, if you're on VAP A, which is the 12-month on payroll VEOP, probably sometime just before or after October 1st of this year, 2020, AA will send you a FedEx box and they'll request you to send back all of your company equipment. And they're going to have a list of items and your ID is going to be on that list. But if you're taking the 12-month VEOP, don't send in your ID because you're entitled to keep it for the next 12 months. You will be required to return your tablet, your KCM card, your parking pass. What else could I be thinking of? So all of that kind of stuff. So your keys, obviously, but keep the ID because you're entitled to hang on to it until you actually retire on October 1st of 2020. If you're taking the 12-month VEOP.
I think you just answered the next one. Do we get the Chicago parking when we're on an active 12-month VIA?
No, you don't, because the parking is only for working crew members and you will not be a working crew member. You'll be active in terms of pay and benefits, but you won't be active in terms of being able to get those working crew member benefits like, you know, KCM and the parking benefits.
And when is the release form due?
The release form is due prior to October 1st of 2020 for both VEOPs because it's your agreement with the company that, you know, you're signing on the line that you're accepting the terms of the VEOP, and they're saying by you signing they're going to honor the terms of the VEOP. So your VEOP begins on October 1st of 2020, regardless of which choice you take. If you take the, you know, 12 months on payroll, your 12 months on payroll are part of that VEOP. So if you want to get that, you need to sign the letter before that starts. If you're taking the lump sum VEOP, your RHRA would start immediately on October 1st of 2020, even though you're not going to get the lump sum till later. So you would need to go ahead and sign the letter probably, you know, in the week or two before October 1st of 2020.
Okay, and she's asking, did our legal department check it for errors? Yes, our legal department definitely did check the release.
There was an error that they left out that if you have an IOD claim, you know, you can continue to settle that out, and we noticed that, and they put that in there. So they checked it for errors.
Okay, and it looks like this flight attendant has a lot, like, when they take the VIA, they're going to get all the information that's going to help them fill this out and tell them all this information, right? Because it looks like they need to know when they need to send it in. So they'll get all that information.
The company will send you information about that. And with the last group with the May VEOPs, they did it through a CCI message. So kind of be checking your CCI messages in your company email, because that's how they got the message last time.
Okay.
Now the letters are available for you to look at now. They're on the flight service website, but that does not mean you haven't even held a VEOP yet, and everybody who puts in for it's going to hold it, but nobody needs to be sending in the letter now before the window hasn't even closed.
Perfect. Okay, and she wants to know, can she continue life, ADD, dental, legal on COBRA, and then continue with it directly on our own?
Okay, so life, AD&D, dental, all of those, they're called, you know, voluntary benefits. You can continue those if you, because you were talking about VEOP option A, which is the 12 months on payroll. So during your 12 months on payroll, if you'd like to continue all of those, you can. You're not on COBRA again until October 1st of 2021. At that point, you would have to contact the administrators for all those benefits. You will not be offered those benefits in COBRA, but you can, yes, continue them on your own if you'd like to.
Thanks, Kim.
And in our APFA IOD packet, and also the information packet that the company will put out for each of these VEOPs, they'll have the contact information for all of those benefits administrators.
Okay. Okay, do we have jump seat authority while on a 12-month separation VEOP? So that's the 12-month payout. Brian?
Yes, you do. You're able to ride the jump seat as long as you have an active crew ID.
Okay. Okay, Patrick, let me see, I hope I can, this slide today is so confused about pop-up. Where can I read about this? I looked in the contract and could not find it. And I understand that you are designating someone else, and if they pass away and you're still living, you still get the full amount. Could you get the full amount while they are living? Also, husband, both employees, and I am under the dental plan, we are taking the lump sum. He is maintenance and I'm a flight attendant. Do I need to elect my own dental for the next year, and are we allowed to change? Okay, so that's a long one.
That's a long one. Let me take the first part of it. When you are signing up for your pension, you say you want to take it a couple of different ways. One is a single life annuity. I want the check to come to me every month until I'm dead, and then it stops. And that's the standard form of benefit in a pension single life annuity. But you can also say, and when I'm dead, I want someone else, my survivor, to continue to get checks. And you can designate anybody to be your survivor. You can designate your spouse, your sister, me, Patrick, P-A-T, anyway. So the thing is that because you're going to leave money to me after you're dead, you're going to get less while you're alive. And because you're taking that same amount of money and spreading it out over a longer period. The problem is if you do that and then, darn it, I die first, well, you're taking less because you were going to leave money for me. And the solution is you're screwed, because you could have had more with the single life annuity, but you decided to leave some for me. Now, there's a way to cover that risk that the joint annuitant dies first, and that's the pop-up option. And what the pop-up option says, you described really well. If they die first, then we're going to go, and the next month, we're going to pop you back up to that higher single life annuity as though you never made the joint and survivor option. So you have the single life annuity, the joint and survivor, which is less, or the joint and survivor with pop-up, which is just a little bit less. But life is uncertain, and even though they may be much younger than you, which obviously I am, then it's still probably worth it to you to take a little bit less to get that pop-up insurance. All right.
Thank you, Patrick, for the answer and the humor. Yay. We've been sitting here answering questions all day, so it's helpful to us at least. Okay, next, I'm considering the lump sum VIA. I will be on my husband's insurance. When he retires in 2 years, he gets 18 months of COBRA, which gets us to 65. Will I be able to use the RHRA to pay for this?
I'll take that one, and the answer is yes. You can use the RHRA to pay for COBRA premiums, and not just AA COBRA premiums, but any COBRA premiums. So if your husband retires and gets 18 months of COBRA through his company, those are post-tax premiums, and you will be able to use the RHRA to pay for those. Also, there was another question on the previous one about dental. If someone and their spouse are both employees and you're under his dental plan and you're taking the lump sum, he's in maintenance and you're a flight attendant, do you need to elect your own dental for the next year? If you're both taking the lump sum, I mean, it's going to be pretty much the same because you're both going to be offered COBRA on your own. So you won't be under one another's plans when you're offered COBRA, because COBRA is always done individually. So you'll each have to elect the dental individually when you take, when you commence the lump sum VEOP.
Great. Okay, the next question, will all VOPs be accepted? Yes, they definitely will all be accepted. And are all EVLOAs awarded after the VOPs? Yes, the EVLOAs will be awarded after, and all of them will be awarded. Okay, taking the lump sum VOP, when will accrued vacation for January through September of this year be paid out? No, the current vacation payout is no later than 11/15/2020.
Okay, so your current vacation, that you've bid for this year that you haven't used, along with your accrued vacation for January through the end of September of this year, that will all be paid out at the same time, which if you're taking the lump sum, VOP will be no later than November 15th of this year. If you're taking the BEOP option A 12 months on payroll, that will be no later than November 15th of 2021. Perfect. Okay. If we elect to take our pensions on October 1st, 2020, will the funds be transferred over to the state bank, or does the money stay with AA? Is state bank just the administrator and the funds remain with AA, or will state bank hold all of my pension funds? Patrick, you want to start there?
Sure. Actually, the good news is that every quarter that you're an employee earning credits in a pension fund, the company is required to make deposits into that account, wherever that account is. For the LA pensions, it happens to be with State Street Bank. So there won't be this huge transfer on the day you retire because they've been making deposits the whole time. Because it's over there and because it's not part of American's assets, the money in there is not part of the bankruptcy. What is part of the bankruptcy is whether or not American has to continue to make deposits or whether they can turn that over to the PBGC.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Okay, what is the union doing to protect the people who take the current VOP if a better offer comes out in the next few months? Are we grandfathered in? Larry, you want to take that one?
Sure. So we negotiated the best VOP that was possible, and the highlights of that, we all know, is covered in the letter of agreement that we signed off on. There are no grandfather provisions included in that LOA, as what happened last time. And it wasn't, when we negotiated this, we actually asked the company if they would include everyone who had taken the previous VOP. And unfortunately, they were unwilling to do that. And we continued to press the company on this and ask them of that. But at this point, they have not agreed to that. So they did not agree to that in this LOA. But, anything is possible. But at this point, this is the best VOP that we were able to negotiate. There's no way to know what may happen in the future. But we, will certainly ask if something like that were to happen again. We will press the company on that. But for this current VOP, there is not a grandfather provision included in that.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, Patrick, I think you answered part of this next question, but we'll just go over it again. Can you please tell us the percentage rate that the flight attendant pension plan is currently funded? And generally, union pensions are rated by percentage of funds. What is our percentage rate?
Okay, as of the 2019 funding notice, which you can find on the Pension Service Center, it says that our pension was funded to 81.44%. So let's call it 81% or 82%. And that's using the standard federal forms, funding formulas.
Okay, great. Thank you, Patrick. Okay. Okay, this flight attendant goes QI September 1st. I am scheduled for CQ on the 20th of August. May I ballot for either the September 19-hour PVLOA or the 70-hour VLOA? I haven't flown in July and August, and I hope not to fly in September and the 1st of October start my VEOP. Brian, we've gotten quite a few questions on. QI and qualifications. So can you help us out with that?
We were certainly not the only person asking this about going to training. It sounds like that you are currently flying, but if you are looking to take the leave in September, you would be able to take the 19-hour PVLOA, but you would not be awarded the 70-hour PVLOA due to your qualifications lapsing. So if you are interested in taking the 70-hour leave, I would suggest going to CQ to be awarded that. If not, you would be eligible for the 19-hour PVLOA.
And she can ballot for the VAP and go on the 1st of October and be fine. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Okay. Kim Tuck, for 12-month VAP, as I will continue to have medical payments deducted like active employees, will that include FSA Smart Choice MasterCard payments? If so, can I continue to use the Smart Choice MasterCard as I am doing now, and for how long?
Yes, if you're right about the 12-month VEOP, your benefits are just like any other active employee. So you will be able to continue to use whatever you put in to your FSA for this calendar year. And you can also make an election to do an FSA for next year, for 2021, during benefits enrollment, which you will be able to participate in. I would suggest, because you're going to retire on October 1st of 2021, that you use every last bit of those FSA funds prior to your retirement. And that way you won't end up having to make your deductions into the FSA for October, November, and December of next year. The company will have to eat that.
And Kim, if she were taking the lump sum, then she'd have to use that by October, right?
If she was taking the lump sum, she would need to try to use everything in her FSA before October 1st of this year. But she would have the option to continue her FSA in COBRA if she didn't have time to do that. The bad thing about that is the deductions you're making for the rest of the year when you COBRA your FSA are post-tax deductions. So you lose some of the benefit of the FSA when you do that.
Okay. All right. This next question. This is, it looks like we have some flight attendants who've done a lot of homework already, just by the questions we're getting.
About their pensions.
These are really good questions. So, all right. And I'm trying to just see if this is a 2 or 3-parter here. Okay, Patrick, I believe this will be for you. If we elect to take the single life annuity with the, and this SSNRA level option, pre-SSNRA participant amount higher than the SSNRA level income option post-SSNRA participant amount, my question is, what if we elect to not take our Social Security until age 70? Do we still get the higher monthly amount until then, or does it automatically reduce at our normal full retirement age of 66 and a half in my case?
All right, that's a really great question. And that also illustrates why sometimes the company makes things more confusing than they need to be. What we were talking about is, it's to start with, only with the LAA pension. It's not available on any of the other pensions. And it's called, it's the level income option, or as I like to call it, the more upfront, less later. And there's 2 different checkpoints. You can get more upfront until age 62, or more upfront until your normal Social Security normal retirement age, or SSNRA. And in your case, the SSNRA is 66.5. So because it sounds like they're linking that to Social Security, they're not. They don't know if you've started Social Security. They don't care, because they're just determining at what point they're going to take you from the higher amount to the lower amount. So you could take the SSNRA more upfront till that age, and then not start your Social Security until 70, or you could take it to 66.5, your SSNRA, and start Social Security early. They don't know, they don't care. So it's just a checkpoint. A question that came in earlier on that was, well, should I do that? Because it sounds like I have more money if I take it up front. And the answer to that is, well, when are you going to die? Because if you're going to, the program is designed to break absolutely even at the average age of death, which is 79 right now. And so half of us will die before that and half of us will die after. If you're in the group that's going to die before 79 and a half, then you should take them more up front, because you will, over the course of your life, have gotten more payments. If you're going to die after the average age of death, you shouldn't take them more up front, because the lower payments after average will end up with you getting a less amount than if you take them the single life annuity. Good question.
Great question. All right, Kim, this one's a little bit easier for me to say than the last one. If I take the lump sum, can I pay extra to get the life insurance policy?
Yes, you can. That's an easy one. If you take the lump sum starting on October 1st of this year, or if you take the 12 months starting on October 1st of next year, you have 30 days to port or convert your life insurance, which means you're transferring it from a group policy with AA into an individual policy in your name. Sometimes that gets a little bit more expensive when you go from group to individual. You can actually choose to port or convert a portion of your life insurance and not necessarily the whole amount. So you have 30 days to contact MetLife, and that's who administers the life insurance, and let them know that you want to do that. And actually, they'll probably have some salesy sounding person call you and try and sell you even more life insurance. So, but if they don't, go ahead and contact them, and their contact information is in our APFA retirement packet, and it's also going to be in the company's information packet about the VEOPs.
Thank you. Okay, Maureen Walsh, if I elected the VEOP option A, so it's the 12-month payout, and my base month is February, will I need to attend CQ in February 2021?
No, you do not.
You are, as of October, no one is taking the VEOP, would have to go to CQ. Okay. Let's see here. My wife is taking a voluntary leave from her employer and will pay for medical, vision, and dental insurance on and after tax basis. Are after-tax medical premiums covered by RHRA?
Yes, they are. So if your wife's premiums are going to be billed to her and you're going to be paying for them post-tax, you can use the RHRA funds to cover those premiums.
Okay. I think we answered this one earlier, but can one collect unemployment if taking the lump sum VEOP?
You are able to collect unemployment when you do take the lump sum. Just keep in mind that anything that you receive from the company will be weighed against any unemployment claims.
And it varies state to state, right? Depending on every state laws. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure we're not repeating the same things. Bankruptcy. Okay, I have over 900 hours of sick time. What happens to my sick time if I take the VEOP? Mark Littleton, are you still with us?
I'm still here and still awake. We've gotten this question. It's if you qualify under the 65-point plan, which I'm assuming this person would with 900 hours of sick time, your sick time will be paid out at a rate of $8.65 an hour.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit here. Okay, we have a couple EBLOA questions we'll start answering. I'm currently on a 12-month PVLOA from May 20th to May 21. I don't understand if I should take the EVLOA or not, because I don't understand if I can be furloughed on leave. If I take the leave, can I keep my health insurance? How do I pay my premiums if I keep my insurance? People are saying we keep our benefits on leave, but I don't understand how. Will they pull us back from work from leave before furloughed flight attendants? Okay. Brian, you want to take that one?
So when you're currently on a leave, you maintain your active rates for your health insurance. So you'll be continuing to pay through your payroll deductions when you get your hourly rate. You would be able to be furloughed from a leave if by chance that there is additional furloughs that are announced, and furloughs are done in inverse seniority order. And then you do keep your benefits while on your leave, and that was just something as part of the terms of the EVLOA that was signed in the letter of agreement. Let's see. And so the APFA stands for recalling flight attendants, is that involuntary flight attendants will be recalled first, and then the flight attendants who have elected to take a leave will be recalled after that. And then
You covered it all. Yeah. Okay. All right, the next question is, any idea what the seniority of reserve will be at Chicago? Also, as of the last town hall meeting, the company has not talked about shorter leaves. Have there been any talks this week about it? Okay, we do not know what the reserve seniority will be in Chicago yet. As I mentioned that at the start, that will depend upon how many flight attendants in Chicago take the VOPS, right, and leaves, and then also if there are any furloughs and what seniority that goes to. As far as shorter leaves, that we are in discussion with the company right now about shorter leaves. The union, right off the bat, when we started negotiating for these two letters of agreement, we told the company that we believed that they needed to offer shorter leaves. 15 months is a very long time to commit to not coming to work, and we thought that they should offer a 6-month and a 12-month leave also. As you all know, they did not do that. That was not part of the letter of agreement initially. Right now, we're working on with the company and trying to work out the details of a possibility of a shorter leave. So stay tuned. We will probably have that information out to you in the next couple of days, whether or not that will happen and how long those leaves will be. Okay, let's see where we're at here. I want to say we had a few on Medicare, so I wanted to get down to those. And I'm not sure I know what BCBS is. Kim, maybe you do. Taking VOP lump sum. What is it?
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Oh, thank you. How long can I use AA, Blue Cross, I've been talking too much, Blue Shield. I'm 67, I've applied for Medicare and have Medicare card.
Okay, if you're taking the lump sum, as of October 1st of this year, Medicare is going to be your primary insurance. If you would like to continue your Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage via COBRA at active employee rates for 30 months, you can do that. Most people find that once they switch over to Medicare, a Medicare supplement plan is actually going to work better and be more cost effective for them than continuing the AA insurance as a secondary, but you do have the option to continue that. And if you do, you can use your RHRA funds to cover premiums for keeping that as a secondary insurance. Just remember that a secondary to Medicare and a supplement to Medicare don't work the same way. So you usually have to pay higher out-of-pocket and deductible with the AA as a secondary than you would with the Medicare supplement plan.
Okay, Kathy Sharp, it looks like you're going to help us with this question. If we elect to take a leave of absence, how does short and long-term insurance affect us? What, if any, situations are we covered, and should we become injured while we are on a leave of absence?
Well, you'll continue to have access to your benefits. You'll be paying your monthly premiums on your leave of absence. And if you were to have some disability, car accident, something happen, you will receive your LTD and OSTD premiums or payments. So you file a claim, and as long as medical supports it, you have access to those benefits.
Thank you. Okay, one more for you, Kathy. How will the annual open enrollment for 2021 benefits be handled for those of us on an EVLOA? Will we have the option to adjust or change our elections? Is the EVLOA considered a life event for the remainder of 2020 benefit elections?
So first off, your EVLOA is a life event and you can make changes within 60 days. And for every annual enrollment will be handled the same, that you have access to everything that you've had and will be done each calendar year in October.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a vacation question. Okay, I'm on a PVLOA that ends November 1st. And I have my 31 days still to use coming up after my leave ends in November, January, February, and April. I did bid for the 24-month leave, and I see that I will be able to rebid my unused vacation days, all 31 days. Would I bid those 31 days during the regular first round vacation bidding in February of 2022? And what happens to the vacation that I have been accruing for this year? I assume I have some vacation days in 2020 and that I have accrued some of this on a PVLI. That's a long question. Okay, trying to take it one at a time.
So the 31 days will be canceled and placed in your bank as carry forward days for bidding of round 2 in February 2021 annual vacation bid. The days that you have accrued from January through November of this year will be available in round 1 of that same bid, so for February 2021. Once awarded, since you are on the 2-year EVLOA, all those days will subsequently be canceled and again placed in your bank as carry forward days in round 2 of February 2022 of the vacation bid.
And in 2022, all of those days, she could do vacation buyback for some of them, because she'll have a lot of vacation days, right?
It'll be, yeah.
A lot. So she could do vacation buyback for some of them and use the others for bidding. So they all don't have to be used for vacation. She would then be able to get those paid out. In 2022.
Yeah.
I know, it seems a long ways away. Thanks. I know the vacation, we are working on a hotline to go out in the next day or two that explains more about vacation and EVLOA. And vacation and VOP is pretty self-explanatory. I think Kim's made it pretty easy to understand that any accrued vacation or vacation that you haven't used this year, that will be paid out depending upon when you actually, what your retirement date is, if it's 2020 or 2021. So we're working on that. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going through trying to see what else we've got here as far as one was answered. Okay, here's a question. How much flying do we anticipate out of the St. Louis base? Because I'm assuming that you mean once it's a satellite base. And it's hard to say at this point. There are a lot more meetings that will take place for St. Louis, and that will be, probably much more like November and December. But I know that they are definitely planning on meeting with the base to discuss the plans for the satellite. We also are having a town hall. We don't have the date set up yet, but we will plan a town hall for St. Louis only, and that will be to discuss everything around the base closure, satellites, moving expenses, transfers, everything that we can possibly do to help answer those questions. Let's see here. Just trying to skip around here and see if I'm missing anything.
There's one below that about the RHRA.
Oh yeah, there we go. My spouse is an active employee of American Airlines and not retiring for another 6 years. I am covered under his American Airlines medical plan. If I take either of the VOPs effective October 1st, am I eligible to receive the $150,000 RHRA, and am I able to utilize those funds for any of his future medical expenses?
Okay, so first of all, I don't know your age, so I can't say for sure that you're eligible for the $150,000. but you are, if you take either of the VOPs, eligible for the RHRA. And if you retire this year, you can start using, if you take the VOP lump sum, retire October 1st of this year, you can start using those funds immediately. You cannot use them for the premiums if you guys are on his medical, but you can use them for your post-tax expenses. So your deductibles, your out-of-pockets, co-pays, things of that nature. If you decide to stay on payroll for 12 months, your RHRA will not activate until you retire on October 1st of 2021. At that point, if you're still covered under his insurance, same thing applies. You can't use it for the pre-tax premiums, but you can use it for all the out-of-pocket expenses.
So let's assume the flight attendant probably is 60 or younger.
60
right?
or younger, and if in that case, they're eligible for the 150,000.
Yep. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, another question is, I understand there will not be reserves. This is for St. Louis Satellite. What happens if a flight attendant consistently bids and holds the satellite, who is habitually late? Will the person be allowed to bid for St. Louis? All of the satellites that we have actually operate really well. A lot depends on your coordinator. That's a lot of help at each satellite. But I will tell you, everyone can bid for the trips at the base. And it really is up to the base to make sure that they maintain all of the flying at the base. And without reserves, yes, you do need to show up. And if you call in sick, you can't do it last minute, because the coordinator is always trying to find someone, to make sure they take the trip, so that we don't have to use any other methods to get reserves there. Not out of St. Louis, it would be reserves probably out of another base. It would be Chicago or Dallas. So everyone can always bid for the trips out of St. Louis, and really it's up to their own, it's their own responsibility to make sure they show up for the trip. Okay, it looks like we are almost out of time. I know, Patrick, I think you have something else you'd like to talk about before we end today.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to remind people, we've been spending all this time focusing on the VOP and A and B and bankruptcy, and I want to remind people that if you're taking the VOP, you're also retiring, and that in and of itself is a big project. I would strongly recommend that you take advantage of the Retirement Handbook that APFA has on the APFA website. You go to Departments, Retirement, and there's a big blue button that says download Good Slide. And Good Slide is the Retirement Handbook. It was put together by Kim Coates-Tuck and Ron Harris. It's an amazing resource. It has a couple of pages of checklists. 30 days out, do this, this, and this. 60 days out, do that, that, that. And it has a contact section. Who you're going to call if I'm having trouble with MetLife, here's the number to call. If you're having trouble getting logged into retirees.a.com, call this number. If you're having trouble with your travel, call this number. So that's a great resource there. It also has several pages describing the pension options that we've been talking about: single life annuity, joint survivor, pop-up, level income. If you're thinking about retiring, there are three things you have to have in line before you're going to have a successful retirement. The first is you have to have enough money to last you the rest of your life. And just sitting there going, well, that sounds like a lot of money, is probably not a good plan. You need to sit down and plot out on a piece of paper, for this year, where's my money going to come from and how much is it going to be? For this year, where's it coming from, and from this year? And having that drawn out like that and showing the multiple streams of income you're going to be having: Social Security, pension, 401k, savings, your new job, allows you to have a realistic look as to whether or not you've got enough money. And more importantly, it allows you to take a realistic look about what is my real risk. For instance, if you're pretty solid about where you are on money, but having this RHRA to help with your medical expenses is going to be a super addition, you can also see that if it, for some reason, it wasn't there, that it wouldn't totally disrupt your pension. So you want to do that and make sure you've got enough money. Secondly, You want to make sure that you have health insurance from here until age 65. You're already 65, great, you got Medicare. But you want to make sure that you've got health insurance. Where's my health insurance for this month? Where's my health insurance for that month? And you can see if you have any gaps and make sure that you plan in advance to use some of that RHRA money to pay for premiums for the gap months. And thirdly, you got to be ready. And that's hard because you can't do a spreadsheet and figure that out. And so you have to kind of ask yourself that. And of course, we're flight attendants. We're going to ask everyone else. We're going to ask, our buddy bidder, our sister, and anybody else we can come up with. And because they all love you and care for you, they're going to give you the answer that's right for them because they don't know what's right for you. You of course want to talk to your spouse, your partner. You may want to talk to the dog and the cat about whether they want you home full time. I know the cat doesn't, but you want to make sure you're ready, because if you're not ready, it's going to be really rough for the first couple of months or years in retirement until you get adjusted to it. But once you've got all those done, you're in a very good position. And I had a flight attendant tell me a couple of months ago, she said, I transitioned to retirement very easily, but I'll tell you, I was not 100% sure. And then I realized that I'd been in that position before when I decided to become a flight, well, for her, it was a stewardess. She said, I wasn't 100% sure then, but that worked out, and retirement seems to be working out well now. So trust your gut, do your paperwork, and good luck. If you've got more questions, APFA is here for you.
Thank you, Patrick. A couple more things. We wanted to let you know that this town hall has been recorded, as well as the telephone town hall that we did last week that also answered a lot of questions on the VIA and the EVLOA, and you can find those on the APFA website. You will go to town halls, and under there you will find the Chicago St. Louis town hall, as well as the telephone town hall. Other resources out there for you. We've been doing Q&As. We just put out a hotline about CQ and QI for VOPS and EVLOA. We're working on a vacation hotline. There's been question and answers also on there from this last week. The company also is updating their packets daily with information. So please look at all of those resources to help make your decision. And we realize and we respect the decision all of you have. And we know this is very personal and it's a very difficult decision. I think that's about it, unless I've missed something here today. Anybody else? No? Okay. Thank you all again for joining us. We will see St. Louis again very soon on a town hall. And thank you, Chicago, for being here. And we will hope to see you again very soon. Fly safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.